Thank you to Daniel for inviting me here today to speak at the first ever Warwickshire Pride. It's my sincere hope that one day, every day, will be a day of pride for all human beings. Yet, sadly, this can't be the case as long as fear, misconception and prejudice continue to scar the existence of so many LGBTI individuals in schools and communities around the world. And by LGBTQI, I mean lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning and intersex, although my own preferred label is human beings. Visibility is a step towards acceptance, and as we enjoy Warwickshire Pride today, let us not for one moment take for granted our freedoms in being able to gather here to celebrate our diverse lives. Recent events in Russia and the attitudes of many other governments, including some of those in the Commonwealth, clearly demonstrate that there is still very much work to be done. Many individuals are denied the basic human right of simply being who they were born to be, without others wanting to deny their existence or wanting to bully, imprison, hurt or kill them. And let's be very clear, Mr. Putin, denying the existence of LGBTQI people has never and will never make us go away. Because like it or not, we are absolutely part of the multitudinous part of nature of life on Earth. I believe LGBTQI people have always been here, and I pray that we always will. It is my hope that in time, our own education system can stand as a beacon of what is possible when all children in schools are supported to be who they were born to be, whatever their emerging identity. I hope we can share the positive impact that preventing homophobia and transphobia plays in developing truly diverse, inclusive school communities that are based on mutual rights and respect. Now, as some of you may know, I'm the deputy head teacher of a primary school in South East London. It's a respectful and diverse school community of which I am very proud. I am able to be open about my identity as a gay man with my whole school community, in the same way that my heterosexual colleagues are fully open about themselves. This is sadly not the case for all gay teachers. This isn't about flaunting something sexual or private. It's about empowering everyone in school communities to be authentic and to have a sense of pride in themselves. For then they will be happier as individuals, and then they will be free to perform to the best of their ability. And that, in turn, benefits all of our children. It would be absurd to define our heterosexual colleagues based simply upon a physical act. Yet too often gay people are judged in this way. Having openly gay teachers in schools affords children the opportunity to see professionals going about their work who just happen to be gay. I hope in time more school leaders will support their staff to be authentic, and I would encourage more LGBTQI people to consider entering what is a wonderful profession, so that they too can serve as teaching role models. I knew I was gay when I was about 4 years old, and today it's estimated that around 10% of pupils coming through our schools will emerge as gay. It is vital that they are given a range of fully representative books that just happen to feature, for example, characters with two mums or two dads, or indeed single gay parents. These kinds of resources provide exposure for all children to the increasingly diverse range of family groups that exist in the 21st century world. For children to fulfill their potential, they must feel represented at school. In addition to LGBTQI children themselves, there are children with LGBTQI parents, family members and friends. Surely, as professional educators, we should not be making choices about which children we support and those that we don't, based upon our own prejudices or beliefs, because in doing so, we are clearly failing our children. Some schools view religion as a barrier to preventing homophobia, and yes, this can sometimes be the case. But it is a simple yet uncommon truth that you do not have to compromise your own beliefs to adopt a zero-tolerance approach to all forms of prejudice in schools, including homophobia. As a teacher, I enjoy educating and informing children about the main world religions, and I am able to do so despite not actually practicing any of these religions wholesale myself. I am able to do this without promoting the merits of one religion above another, and I am able to do this without claiming that religion is a lifestyle choice. Yet some teachers still use their belief system as an excuse not to give all of the facts, because that's what they are, to children who may themselves emerge as LGBTQI. I find this deeply unfair. Thankfully, in some schools, religious coordinators are now including LGBTQI teaching into their diversity programmes, and I was thrilled recently to meet with a number of LGBT pupils in church schools in Lewisham and to speak to nearly 1,800 predominantly Muslim secondary school children in London. Anti-homophobia work is now being undertaken in an increasing number of schools, including faith schools, and this gives me great hope. However, it's absolutely vital that we celebrate and share this good practice where and when it occurs. The simple facts are, despite the hysteria and lies, when you do this work in schools, we don't turn the children gay, and we don't talk about gay sex, and the world keeps on turning as it did before, except that world is a bit more understanding of difference, and that benefits everyone in the end. The pernicious piece of 1980s legislation, Section 28, was based upon these lies, and it seems still, even in 2013, some school leaders, some politicians, some people of faith, and some elements of the media still hide behind the word promote in an attempt to smokescreen their own prejudices. This has a directly negative impact upon the lives of young people. A lifestyle choice that results in 41% of young LGB people considering self-harm or suicide. A lifestyle choice that can result in verbal and physical abuse, and in some cases rejection or death threats from their own family members. Education and information are clearly very different concepts to promotion. Way back in the 1980s, in a secondary school not too far from here, I was subjected to years of sustained homophobic bullying. In 1987, I decided enough was enough, and I walked out of education with two choices. One, to end my life, and the other, to find out if I did actually belong on this planet. And some would say the jury is still out on that one. Despite these painful experiences, in an odd sort of way I regard myself as lucky, because things are often much, much worse. For example, on the morning of the 25th of July 2008, when 18-year-old Michael Causer from Liverpool was battered to death in his sleep by other young men who had discovered that he was gay. For example, on the 18th of May 2010, when 15-year-old Dominic Crouch walked out of his secondary school in Cheltenham and threw himself off a 6-storey block of flats. Dominic, who had been dared to kiss another boy whilst on a school trip, had been labelled as gay. And this was enough for some children to bully Dominic to the point where he felt he could simply take no more. Just over a year later, Dominic's father, Roger, took his own life, bereft at the loss of his son. What these tragic stories show, clearly, is that anyone can potentially be the target of homophobic bullying. What starts as playful banter or stereotypical and prejudicial attitudes can lead to acts of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and ultimately extermination. That might sound alarmist, but these are facts of life in some schools and communities, both in the UK and abroad. Mr. Putin, Mr. Mugabe, and many, many more. Homophobic bullying continues to be endemic in schools in the UK, with Stonewall reporting that 99% of young people hear the word gay being used as a put-down on a daily basis. And 41% of young gay people have thought about taking their own lives or self-harming. More than half of the young gay people in our schools have experienced homophobic bullying, some of this, I hate to say, condoned by teachers. We know that homophobic bullying affects attainment, achievement, attendance, and the physical and mental well-being of the children in our care. In my opinion, these statistics are a national disgrace. However, I want you to know that our schools, within them, there are teachers that want to do much more to prevent homophobia and transphobia. But historically, they lack the strategic government-funded training, or in some cases, the support of their head teachers and school governors. A privilege of my current position is that people write to me and tell me their stories, all from around the world. Stories ranging from the 1940s right up to the present day. These stories are often very personal and nearly always heartbreaking. And what these stories show with great clarity is the evil that is homophobia, which stems from fear, misconception, prejudice and downright lies, has destroyed and is still destroying so many precious human lives. For prejudice, think fear. For fear, think fight or flight. Very basic human emotions. By teaching our children from the very outset about cognitive empathy, philosophical approaches to learning, the celebration of different families, diversity and heritage, we can nurture caring individuals who regard difference as something joyful, not something frightening. This is a vital issue as our world gets smaller, our boundaries more blurred, and our communities even more wonderfully diverse. We should be nurturing children who are self-aware enough to recognise when a specific cultural or other kind of difference stimulates a negative personal response, and then offer them strategies to process and counter that negativity before it turns to fear and prejudice. This isn't rocket science, it's not impossible, and yes, we can still teach children maths and to read and write. But this work is an investment for all of our futures. Looking at recent news and on social media, it may feel at the moment like there's a lot of negativity being directed to LGBTQI people around the world. But it's important, however, that we keep hopeful and that we make our voices heard loud and clear in protest about human rights violations wherever they occur and whenever they occur. But we must also ensure we have our own education system at a point where it supports full and authentic inclusion and does not by default condone prejudice of any kind. There is still, therefore, much work to be done, and this is where you come in. It may be Saturday lunchtime, but it's homework time. Firstly, you should know, everybody, that the Equality Act 2010 and the latest Ofsted School Inspection Framework document states clearly that schools should be proactive in tackling homophobia. Therefore, schools should be doing this work. So, could I invite you, please, to phone and write to schools that you know of or that you live near, and politely inquire what they are doing to prevent homophobic and transphobic bullying. Ask the schools how they might support any potential LGBTQI children or a child with same-sex parents. Ask the schools to see their equality policy and check whether it mentions the promotion of homosexuality. Ask schools if their reading books reflect a range of different families and LGBTQI role models, and ask them what they do to plan to celebrate LGBT History Month in February, or Idaho, the International Day Against Transphobia and Homophobia, held in May each year. Please consider working in schools yourselves or becoming a school governor. The more LGBTQI people we get involved in our education system, the quicker we can make positive change for all our children. And please, challenge the word gay being used as a put down, and don't use it yourself. If something's crappy, say it's crappy. For young people in the uniquely vulnerable position of emerging as LGBTQI, the negative use of the word gay can do huge damage. However, please also acknowledge the potential for prejudice within our own communities. We all have a part to play in making sure that everybody feels included. Please consider lobbying your MPs to see how they plan to raise objections to human rights violations, not just in Russia, but in many countries. Finally, I do hope that some of you might take the time to visit my Inclusion for All Facebook page and my website, www.inclusionforall.co.uk, to find out more about my work in schools. And I'm also on Twitter, @Shaun Dellenty. The resources are there for you to share with the parents, the teachers, and mostly the schools in your lives. Thank you for having me here today. Please remember I speak not as a politician or an activist or anything special, but simply as a concerned human being. It is time to address these issues in schools for once and for all, and to change the future for better for countless children. I believe we can do this together, but we have to stop talking about what schools can't or won't do and focus on what an increasing number of schools can and are doing. Wherever you are on the rainbow of humanity, be proud of yourselves. Never let anyone make you feel any less than human. And together, let's strive to create a world where others can be free to do the same. Please take care of yourselves, take care of each other, be safe, and have a very happy and enjoyable Warwickshire Pride. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.